Hello and welcome to this photo manipulation tutorial. My name is Andrei and today I'm going to show you how to create a simple photo manipulation using stock images in Photoshop. I divided the tutorial in 5 parts and I will show you how to create the scene using stock images and simple layer masks, and we will use the gradient tool to merge the photos. Then I'll show you how to create drama on your manipulations playing with sizes. We're gonna create a huge bird and then we're gonna make this man smaller, and we're gonna use the quick selection tool and the magic wand, and I'm gonna show you 2 techniques to remove chromatic aberrations on your images using Camera Raw and also using the hue saturation adjustment layer. After that, we're gonna create the colors on our image and the contrast, the base color and the contrast, and then we will integrate. I'm going to show you 2 techniques to match colors in Photoshop to integrate elements onto a background, onto a new photograph. And at the end, we're going to create the final results and the post-processing and save our image. I'm going to use Photoshop CC 2018 for this, but this can be done in any Photoshop version. We will use the Color Lookup to create some of the color effects, so you will need at least Photoshop CS6 in order to get the same color tones, but if you use a previous version of Photoshop you can still do this, but you will get maybe different color tones on your final image. So I hope you will enjoy it, and let's get started. So let's start creating the scene. Let's open the stock folder and load our stock images. We're gonna start with this one, this image over here, and we're gonna extract the background using the quick selection tool. So load the quick selection tool from the tools bar and select the rocks just like I'm doing here, and I'm gonna zoom in here so I can select this a little more precisely. We're gonna remove this boy here because we're gonna add our own image, and just try to make the best selection you can, like that. And with the Alt key you can remove selections from areas that you don't want. I'm gonna now click the layer mask icon, and this will hide that background over there. Now what I'm gonna do is use the same canvas size that I used here, so I'm gonna Control A and add it, copy, merge. And I'm going to create a new document because I want to have the same canvas size, 3000 by 4000. And now I'm going to move this image here with the V key. Press the V key to select the move tool, click on the canvas and drag this to your document over here. I'm going to put it right there for now. And I'm going to close this. You can see that it also brings the layer mask here. I'm going to right click and choose select and mask. Maybe you have refine edge or something like that. They change the name in Photoshop CC, and I'm going to shift the edge a little, increase the smoothness slightly, increase the feather quite a lot in this case, and increase the contrast so that I have sharper edges, and we're good to go. I'm going to click OK, and this will update my layer mask, and now I have it here. Let's name this ledge and remove the background, the original one. We don't need it. Let's add the rest of the elements. Let's create the background, and I did that with this image. I'm gonna crop it. Let's move this over there, and this image I'm gonna lower it and just move it a little more to the side, and let's name this BG for background and move it probably somewhere there. Maybe this one a little higher up and this one right over there, somewhere there. Now let's add the sky. Let's open the stock folder again, and this is the sky that I used. And let's crop it and put it under everything here. Let's name it sky. And now in order to be able to see that, we have to blend the background with the sky. And we're gonna create a layer mask for that. And I will use the gradient tool to create a smooth gradient, a smooth transition. And with the layer mask selected, I'm gonna click somewhere here and drag up. And you can see how it goes away, and now I can move the sky around and see where I can place this. I'm gonna convert it into a smart object just in case, because maybe I want to change the size, make it bigger again, and I don't want to lose quality. And with smart objects you preserve the original quality of the image. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it there for now. Let's just take a look at the original so I can see more or less how it looks like. Yeah, maybe this one a little lower, maybe there. And we have one more thing to add in here, maybe the background slightly smaller as well, over there. Now we have to add the foreground here. I used another stock image for that, and it's this one. So again, cut this from the background, close that and don't save, and I paste it on top of everything, and let's name this foreground. For now I'm not going to change the size of it. I'm just going to create a layer mask for that, and I'm going to use the gradient tool just like I did with the other one, and I'm going to start the gradient from the tips of the trees more or less from here, and I'm going to end the gradient right over here. And remember, you have to do this on the layer mask. Okay, now we have to move this down to about there. Maybe make it smaller like that, and try the gradient again to have something a little softer. Oops, make sure you're on the layer mask like so, and move this background and also the ledge a little higher. So once you add everything on the image, you can position things wherever you want, place them wherever you want. And let's do the gradient again. Make sure on the layer mask, and you can see it blends pretty well. Here you cannot tell the difference. They blend pretty well. With the soft brush and low opacity, maybe 30 and 40, you can brush this and remove parts of the image that you don't need, or just make the blending a little better. And that's it. In this case, I think it looks good enough. Now we have to add well, a couple of things. Our man standing there and that bird of prey. So let's go back to our stock folder and start with the image of the man. And it's really easy to extract, as you can see. You can use the magic wand tool. I use average 3x3 and tolerance of about 25. I think that will work well. And contiguous option checked. And just click on the background, and this will select pretty much everything. And also select the inside here. Well, we have to do something before. You can see this colors here. This is color, well, fringing or color, chromatic aberration. We can fix that, and there's two ways of doing it. I'm gonna show you how to do it using the hue saturation. So basically, you add a hue saturation adjustment layer, and click this hand icon. Then zoom in and sample that magenta tone and desaturate it, and then click on this other tone, this greenish tone, and desaturate that as well, and just sample colors, those colors, and desaturate them. What I usually do is use the Camera Raw filter. You have that in Photoshop CC. In previous versions you don't have Camera Raw, but anyways, I'm going to show you how to do it. Filter, Camera Raw, and when it opens, I'm going to zoom in here so I can see this a little better, and go here to the lens correction, and simply on the purple amount increase that so that you can see it removes that. And on the green amount the same, I'm going to increase that, but you can see it's not removing all of it, and that's because this segment here is more towards blue. If you move it more towards green, you can see it's gone. And I'm going to click OK to apply the change, and you can see the before and after. And now let's select again with the magic wand, control click, click on the sky, and then right over there and there as well, and just select everything like that. Let's zoom in and add that area to the selection, and we're good to go. I'm gonna click the layer mask icon, but this will create an inverted layer mask. So what you have to do, let's select everything here. So what you have to do is press Alt, because right now we have selected the sky, everything except the man and the rock there. So I'm going to press Alt and click the layer mask. This will create the inverted layer mask. And I'm going to crop the image anyways, because I don't need it that big. I just need this side over here. So that will keep my document size down. So just that part of there. You can see it now when I accept the change, the image is a little smaller. And now I'm going to move this with its layer mask with the V key, or select the move tool. Just click here on the canvas and drag this to my other tab and let go here. Let's name this man. And I'm going to make it, well, actually, before I make it smaller, you can see this line over here. That's from the layer mask. I want to remove that with the brush, paint with black, oops, on the layer mask. Make sure you're on the layer mask when you paint this, and just paint that out. And also paint that out as well. And now I'm going to turn this into a smart object. Now it looks like the layer mask is applied, but actually it's not. It's just hidden there. And make our model a little smaller and maybe even smaller. About there. I'm gonna put it right where that other boy was standing so I can hide that part. And now I will create a new layer mask, and with a small brush, with a soft small brush, I will remove this from, oops, even drop the opacity to about 50 and 20 and try and blend this like that. And we're good to go. Let's mask this part even more, like so, and we're done. Okay, we have our man here. Now we have to add the bird. So let's first close this document because we don't need it anymore, and open the stock image of that bird there. So open it, and this one is also pretty easy to select. We're gonna use the quick selection tool as again. So select that and just select the bird like so. For the feathers here, I just make the brush smaller. You can change the size of this from here or using the keyboard shortcuts. The keyboard shortcuts are the same as for the brush tool. Paint this and create a selection as the best you can. And the same here, one click there and one click there. And we're almost done. Let's zoom in a bit here. You can take your time and refine the edges and create perfect selections, but for the tutorial, I think this is good enough. So we're done with the selection. I'm gonna click the layer mask icon. This will mask my background, and with the brush, I'm gonna paint here and remove this part over here. Actually, with white, I'm going to paint to make sure I have this masked correctly. Just, well, fix the edges. So after you fixed the selection, move this to the canvas again with the move tool. Click on the canvas and drag it here. And you can see the size is perfect. I'm gonna close this. And now we have all the elements here. Our task now is to integrate the elements and create the color effect that you see here on the original. And that's what we're going to do next. So what we're going to do is create the background effects and everything, and then integrate this bird onto the background. Let's name this bird, and let's hide it for now. We don't need it now. Let's scroll down and locate this ledge layer. I'm gonna convert it into smart object because I can make it bigger or smaller if I want without losing quality. But on top of that, I can add adjustments to them, to this, and those adjustments will be converted into smart filters, and that will save me some space here on the layers palette. So I'm going to add some levels first. So with this layer selected, press Ctrl+L, this will open the levels, and I'm going to increase the contrast. I'm going to set the midtones to 0.91 and the highlights to 204. You can see the before and after. And you can see that now this is converted into a smart object. These two circles indicate that we have smart filters acting on this layer. And you can see it here, levels. Okay, and this is the effect that it creates. You can drop the opacity of this levels adjustment. Clicking here, you can drop the opacity or even change the blend mode only for this smart filter. Okay, let's move on and let's work on the traveler. He looks really well. This guy here. I don't like how it looks like. He's dark, and the colors, I don't like them that much. So let's locate the man layer. And here I have, this is a smart object as well. So all adjustments that I create will be converted into smart filters. And the first adjustment that I will add is go here to image adjustments and choose shadows highlights. This is, I think, the only adjustment that cannot be added from the bottom list here, well, from the bottom here on the layers palette. And I'm going to give you the values and then show you what this adjustment does. So I have for the shadows, if you don't see this list, just click show more options. And here on the shadows section, on the amount, put 54, 85 for the tone, and radius 83. Now for the highlights, 27 for the amount, tone 50, and 30 for radius. And we're gonna leave the color adjustment to 0. Now what this adjustment does, as you can see, it adds lights on the shadows or it drops the highlights. In this case, we don't have that many highlights, so almost has no effect. But you can see it adds a lot of light on the shadows. Let me show you again before and after, which is what we want. So I'm gonna click OK. And now we have to create some layer styles. I want to add more light on the front and more darkness on the back. So I want to shift the light a little. I'm going to double click here to open the layer styles. And first I'm going to use an inner shadow, maybe. Yeah. We have an angle, we need an angle of 0 degrees. Here on this small thumbnail, you can see the effect where it's being applied. And you can also, if you uncheck this, you can see how the light is being applied. The blend mode overlay and the color, something like this. Maybe we need to change this, but for now I'm going to leave it to this color. And size to 18 and distance to, well, actually size, I'm going to leave it slightly, just a little smaller. Well, no, let's leave it to 10 and the distance to 10 as well. And then we also need a gradient overlay because we want to add darkness on the back. I can use another inner shadow, but for people that don't use that don't have Photoshop CC, maybe you will not be able to add multiple inner shadows, so I'm gonna use a gradient overlay instead. And here on the inner shadow, make sure you don't use global light. On the gradient overlay, I'm gonna use an opposite angle. I want 0 degrees. And here I'm gonna use a soft light blend mode and black to transparent. Here you can see foreground to transparent, and just make sure that the foreground color is set to black, or use it, create manually this transparent gradient. And let's see, scale, maybe 100% will be okay. You can move this gradient here on the canvas, clicking and moving this like that. Soft light is okay, so I'm gonna leave it there. Any opacity of about 60% I think will work. And what else? I think it looks okay. I'm gonna deactivate these filters and the effects so you can see without the effects and without the smart filter. Smart filter and the effect. So you can see how I shifted the light there on the front. And we're good to go. Let's add some adjustments because, as I said, I want to create some colors and contrast effect on the background, and then the bird I will integrate, I'm going to show you how to color match the bird to match the background. So let's add the adjustments. These adjustments will go below the bird, on top of everything, but below the bird. So I'm going to add a hue saturation adjustment, and I'm going to drop the saturation to -25. Next, I'm going to add a color lookup. Here you will need Photoshop CS6 at least, because they introduced the color lookup adjustment in Photoshop CS6, and if you don't have it, you will not be able to use it. And here just click the first drop down and click load 3D LUT, and inside the resources folder you will find a file called PSD box PA27.3DL. So locate that file and load it, and you will get this result, as you can see here. I'm going to leave the blend mode to normal at 100%, and now I'm going to add another color lookup. And this time I'm going to use from the first drop down, I'm going to use the foggy night.3DL. Load that and change the opacity to 30%. And the blend mode set to normal. And now, last but not least, a curves adjustment. And I'm going to give you the values that I have for this. On the RGB, I have a point with input 104 and output 87, and then a second point with input 181 and output 173. So it just basically darkens the whole thing here. And then inside the blue channel, you can add a point there with input 203 and output 197. So just add some yellow tone on the whole thing here. We're done with the background. This is what I wanted to create, and the next task is integrate the bird on this new background and color match it to well, be integrated on this new background. Okay, let's go with the color matching. There are multiple ways of doing this in Photoshop. I'm going to show you two of them. First, I'm going to show you how to work with channels, and then I'm going to show you the way that I did it using adjustment layers. So let's start with the first one. Here you have to change a bit the interface here of Photoshop. First, let's detach the navigator. If you don't see it or if you don't like to use it, you have to activate it now. So you can go to Window and choose Navigator. And here we have to make this quite big like that, because we want to see the image like that. And now we have to move this a little to the side because this will be on black and white. Make sure you have the layer selected and go to channels, the layer of the bird, I mean. Go to channels, and now we have to go through each channel and adjust the contrast of this bird to match the background. It's not a perfect science, so we have to do it a bit, well, just on watching the image and judging by yourself. And basically the objective is to get the darkest part of this bird to have the same contrast as the darkest part of the background here. We're gonna start with the red channel, and we're gonna use levels for that. So press Ctrl+Command+L to open levels, while remember we have this layer selected of the bird. And now on the red channel, press Ctrl+Command+L to open levels, and here we have the black and white version, and here we have the color version, so we can see what we're doing. Even though I would suggest to look more here on the black and white than here, because here can be a bit tricky, and because here we don't have the color, it's a variable less that we have to worry about. So just look at highlights and shadows, and when you move these sliders, you will see that the contrast of the bird changes. And your objective is to look at the highlights and try to match the highlights of the image there. In this case, if you want to make the highlights brighter, you have to move the sliders here, while the highlights, midtones, or shadows. But when dealing with highlights, if you want to make them darker, you have to move this other slider. So if you move this one, it's gonna make them brighter. If you move this one, it's gonna make them darker. And at the same time, if you look here, you can see that the color changes. Now, because we're working on the red channel, we have to keep in mind that the opposite of the red channel is cyan. So if I move this to the left, I'm adding cyan to the image. Well, you have to keep that in mind. You have to remember the channels and how the channels work and the colors in Photoshop. So I'm gonna darken this slightly. Just take a look here on the image, and the shadows and the midtones, I'm not gonna add it too much. The midtones, just a touch, I'm gonna add there. And the shadows, I don't want to make them darker. Instead, I want to make them brighter, like that. Maybe like that. I'm gonna click OK. Now I'm going to the green channel and do the same. You can see we have a lot more contrast here. Maybe I'm gonna make this navigator a little narrower like this. Go back to the levels and move that there. Here I want to make the darks a little brighter. This one as well. And this one's a little darker. Now I'm gonna click OK, and I'm gonna go to the blue channel, and this is where we're gonna change the whole thing here, because the blue channel is the one that will affect the most this image. So here, let's see, I have to make this a little brighter, not that much, and the darks even brighter, like so. Okay, something like that maybe. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there and click OK. Now, I'm gonna go back to layers and I'm gonna reset my workspace, because I'm gonna reset my workspace so that everything goes back to where it was, right over there. And let's select RGB, and you can see how it looks like. It's not perfect yet, but I'm gonna show you the difference before and after. Now all we need to do is desaturate this. With Control U, I can drop the saturation, and you can see that this looks a lot better now, a lot more integrated in on our background. It's not perfect, and probably for some of you it's more difficult than the second method that I'm going to show you. So let's undo this and do it the way I did it. So basically I used adjustment layers. I'm going to turn this into a smart object. And by the way, that technique cannot be used with smart objects, so you have to use a normal layer. And what I did is I used levels, Control Command L, and I'm going to give you the values. So for the midtones, 0.85 and 244 for the highlights. Actually, the midtones is too much. Probably, well, yeah, let's leave it 0.85 how it was. And click OK. This will increase the contrast. Next, a curves adjustment, Control M to open the curves. And here I went into the channel. So basically I modified the channels on both techniques. First, select this bottom left point and pull it up to 24. Next, add the second point around here and put an input of 38 and output 44. Next, another point with input 134 and output 134. And this is the effect that I created. Next, let's go into the channels. Let's go into the blue channel. I'm going to click the bottom left point and I'm going to raise it up to 12. And then go, well, probably even drop this down a little bit. Not that much. Well, actually, let's leave it to 0. And then go to the green channel and let's move this bottom left point to 7 here on the output and click OK. And now you can see that the shadows have this washed color tone. And one other step, we need to desaturate this. Control U to open hue saturation and drop the saturation a little to about -30. I think it's okay. And voila, this is how I color matched this. Maybe the contrast is too high, you can modify that, but I think it looks a lot better than this. So before and after, I think that looks more realistic, at least to me. So that's how I color matched the bird to the background. Next, we're gonna add some glows of light, some light, and then the final adjustments. So let's add some basic lighting. I'm gonna create a new layer and I'm gonna put it on screen. And let's name this glow, because I'm gonna add some glows of light. The bird, we can move it somewhere else, maybe a bit higher up, like so. And on this new layer that I created, I will paint some light. I'm gonna select the brush tool, pressing the B key or clicking on the tools bar. And I'm gonna use a big brush, something really big like this. And I will use a really dark tone of yellow or orange like this, something like that. Let's see how that works. Yeah, it looks pretty nice, but something just a touch brighter, like so. And I will paint one there and something a little brighter over here where these highlights are. I'm not gonna touch with the brush, with the center of the brush, I'm not gonna touch the bird. I'm actually gonna paint over there. And then another one right over there, actually a little bigger and darker, something really dark, like so. And paint there. If you want, here you can see that it's a little dark. On the man, I can open the layer styles, and that inner shadow that I created, I can make it a little stronger, either by increasing the opacity or using a brighter tone like that, and that way I have more light there. And you can see with this glow light, you can see how I changed a bit the aspect. I think that looks okay. You can create a new layer, a new curves layer if you want to add more contrast or add more light on some certain parts of the image, but I think I'm gonna leave it like that, and I'm not gonna touch it that much because we're gonna do that in Camera Raw, which is what we're going to do next. For the final edit, I used Camera Raw to edit this. So first I merged everything onto a new layer, and you can do that pressing, first select the top layer on your layers palette and press Shift Alt Command E, or Shift Option Command E, or Shift Alt Control E if you're on a computer. Then go to Filter and choose Camera Raw Filter. If you don't have Photoshop CC, you will not see this menu item here. So you'll have to go to File, Save As, and save this image as a TIFF file, because TIFF is a raw file, it's a raw format. And if you save this as a TIFF and uncheck layer, save this as a TIFF file, give it any name you want, save it, and then open it back with Photoshop. Just open with and choose Photoshop. And by default, it should open it in Camera Raw, because Photoshop reads that and it knows it's a raw format, and it opens it in Camera Raw, which is this one that I have here, this view over here. Instead of giving you the presets settings that I have here, I saved everything as a preset. You can edit this however you want and create the contrast and the final and gradients and everything, but I saved the preset. If you click this icon over here, choose, well, actually not from here, let's exit the gradient, click this icon here and choose load settings. And inside the resources folder, you will find this file called Pre Raw. Load that, and you can see that it adds all the settings that I have. And you can tweak this however you want and create your own effect. Maybe it's not going to work the same as you will not get exactly the same effect as I have here, but you can tweak this and create your final outcome. I'm going to click OK now. And I'm gonna add the last adjustment, which is another color lookup. And for this, I created a preset, a specific preset only for this image. Click here, load 3D LUT, and inside the resources folder, you will find this file called Pre-Final Grade. Open that, and you have the final result. And you can make more color adjustments if you want, but for me, I think this looks okay, and I left it like this. I didn't make any other change to this. I'm gonna show you again the original. This has a bluish tint to it, and I have these feathers which you will find on the stock folder. Just put them here and apply some Gaussian blur. This will add a bit more of depth of field to your image, but I think it looks pretty cool anyways. So that's how I created this photo manipulation. If you have any questions or any problems with it, or if you're stuck on some of the steps here, just post a comment and I'll be glad to help you. So thanks for watching. Hope you will join me on the next one, and see you next time.